So, one of the things that I thought about was when we talk about business in general, when we talk about how we do things, I think that we need to consider who we need to have in our corner, okay? And that's an important factor for me. Now, has anybody heard of the term petty business? Yes. Okay, thank you in the back, okay? Y'all heard of petty business? So petty business is my term that I've coined. I need to go ahead and get it trademarked. But petty business to me means I'm minding my business. I'm doing what I should be doing. I am contributing to the community and the ecosystem, and there's a lot of foolishness going on elsewhere. Have you seen that? Yes. So the thing is, we see petty business, but that doesn't mean that we need to engage in it. Now, we can have conversations about it, but we want to stay with people that are aligned with our purpose. So I want to show you a video of something that, in my opinion, truly resonates with where we want you to think about going this year.
So if you're in a circle, it's because you're affirming me. And for me, for my mental, I distinguish people into 3 types. I hope this is helpful. I always try to find my elevators, I always try to identify my haters, and I always try to identify the suckers. And I treat each group accordingly. The elevator is a person who is designed to take you higher. And my brother's test was so right. Share good news and bad news with the same person. They'll let you know how they feel about you. And so when I do that, and I'm like, oh, this person's at the elevator. Like, if I have bad news, I got you. It's gonna be okay. I share good news. Yo, I'm mad happy for you. I'm like, oh, this person loves me. That's my elevator. So I always make sure I listen to my elevators. First is discernment. Then you listen to your elevators. Your elevators are designed to take you higher. And you'll know by that test. So always listen to your elevators. Also, know that your elevators, like if you walk up on an elevator and you get on an elevator, the elevator's not gonna go anywhere unless some buttons get pushed. So you gotta find elevators that are willing to push your buttons. Not just somebody who's like, yeah, that's good, like challenge me. When you challenge me and I get better and we celebrate together, my mental's better. So listen to your haters. Second, haters. Anybody that's doing anything worth doing is gonna have somebody to hate on them. And you have to understand how to deal with haters, because they're the ones who affect your mental the most. The hater is a person who looks like you on paper, but don't have your calling. Like you're a chef, they probably a chef too, but they don't like their food like they love your food. You know what I'm saying? And so you gotta find out, like the people who do exactly like, oh, I can bring people together to go to Africa. He think he's special. How come you haven't done it? Because you're not me. Like you're him. Like let's be clear, like he's him. So you gotta identify the people who say they can be you, but they're not you. And they're gonna start, and you have to know that the hater's first job is to talk about you. And your mental gets affected when the hater talks about you. So you've gotta know how to ignore your haters. And as black men, our ego don't like that. Because the first thing you wanna do is talk to like, what? He's I'm like, yo fam, if you hate on me, I have no time for you. Because my evidence of my work will speak for me. Your food that you make won't speak for you. Who cares what other chef does? When somebody eats your food, they're like, yo, that's not that good. Then all of a sudden, what the hater gotta say is different. You right here, they right here. If you ever come to talk to them, you always come down to where they at. They never rise to where you at. So you have to also make sure that you ignore your haters and your mental will be better. Then the last is suckers. And they're the most important. And suckers are human beings who just inherently will find the worst in everything. There's a sucker in here right now. I didn't even learn that from the panel. What ain't you doing? It didn't even work out. And it's like no matter what happens, they always got something to say. And so you've got to know how to deal with suckers. The way you deal with suckers is like you send their energy back to them and then you walk away. That's the only way to do it. And you have to distinguish between your elevators, haters, and suckers. So suckers be like, I ain't even learn that from the panel. Why they here? You're like, maybe you didn't learn it and I learned a whole lot and now I'm inspired. And you walk away. Because they don't know how to deal with you counteracting it and sending it back to them. So listen to your elevators. Your mental get clear. Ignore your haters. Once you learn how to ignore them, they don't affect your cipher. You know what I mean? And then always have time to discount a sucker. And for me, like, that's my strategy, and that keeps my mental clear all the time. That's real.
So I want to take just a little bit of time, and if you want to just throw it out and tell me, what did you think about that? Give me a little feedback real quick.
It's real.
It's real, okay. What'd you say?
Confirming.
Confirming, okay. All right, now I'm gonna make an assumption that there's no suckers in here. Is it a sucker in here? Because he was talking about the people that were at that event, okay? But you do know some suckers, don't you? Right? And you have to say suckers like I'm gonna get you sucker, not with an ER, you need to say it with an A on the end. And so the thing about that is that there are a whole bunch of those people out there, okay? And then when you talk about the haters, they're wishing that they could do what you do, and they always have something to say. So my thing is that everybody in this room today should be an elevator. Our goal is to make sure that we continue to elevate each other, continue to be able to make sure that people know all of the good works that we're doing. And I don't mean we as just and give it to the people, but I mean we as in the people that are in this room. So it's an important factor for me to make sure that people are connected, which is why we started the membership in the first place. So some of you did excellent because I saw you got the email last night, or you've been getting the emails that have been coming because of whenever you registered and you joined the membership. We definitely want you to join today because in this way, it makes it a lot easier for you to be literally connected with the people that are in this room, okay? It's inside of your pamphlet, and what we're gonna do now, because we wanna stay on time, is I'm going to do this really quickly. So one of the things is, I'm sure that you guys have heard the acronym, the phrase DEI. Are you sick of it yet? Okay, so what I wanted to do was make sure there's a space for you to be able to write inside of your brochure. One of the things is, and I said this, I just did a live stream the other day, I didn't think for us that it was as important for us to say, okay, well, DEI is something that we do, because it's inherently into our DNA of when we started this company, to make sure that things were diverse as far as the panel, the age, the gender, the race, right? But then also to take into consideration, you know, that it's rural, so we do a lot of stuff in the rural communities as well. And then when we talk about, you know, making things equitable, the price was the same for everybody. So you probably will never see us do a VIP anything, because everybody's a VIP, all right? And then when you just talk about inclusive, like we want everybody to really feel included and hopefully greeted when you come in the door, and that you leave with a new friend that you didn't have before. And so for us, it was already in there. I didn't think that it was something that we had to say. But one thing I want us to think about this year as we progress is intentionally making sure that we use language that will resonate with the people that are trying to destroy certain aspects of not just culture, but of business and the way of doing things and things that make sense. So these are some terms that we've come up with that I think that everybody can use. Feel free to write them down. We can also send them to you, but you can take a picture and you can write them down later if you choose to. Because if we have language that makes sense and that is not just tied to race or gender, ethnicity, then it makes it a lot easier for us to possibly be able to work together, to be able to go in on grants, to be able to talk to the bank to see if the bank wants to give us some money. Because the biggest thing that's been running probably for the longest time has been underrepresented populations or underrepresented communities. But at the same time, these are some other things that you can do to try to see about working with each other and to be able to use them if you did have DEI specifically as a major focus of your business. Because it is an important factor that we are able to use things that are just neutral so that we don't have to worry about getting sued, okay? Now, I'm sure that there are some companies in here that are big enough where somebody would want to sue you, but we never know what's going to happen. So we want to make sure that this way you can avoid it at all costs, but still use stuff that makes sense and that has a sustainable language to it. So this is just an extra little something that we wanted to make sure that everybody kind of had. It'll give you something to talk about at your tables. And we like to keep things on time. So what we're going to do is we're going to let you guys go ahead and we're going to do lunch. So we're going to let you go out and then come back in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have our speakers during the lunchtime, okay? Sound good? Now what I want to do really quickly is I want to recognize our sponsors, and we're going to do it more than one time. But I'm going to start right here. So Black Wall Street Forward, if you guys can stand up. You're going to go get food anyway. You're like, it's standing up with purpose.
Wait, hold on here.
It's a whole purpose. Yeah, it's a whole purpose to it. Okay, so Tony is here representing Black Wall Street Forward, which was our major sponsor for this particular event. And so we definitely want to recognize them. These two tables are City of Raleigh, and then that table right there is for the most part representative of the Black Business Alliance that's in Chapel Hill, Carborough. So just in seeing who's in the room, there are more people in the room. I heard we have Vance Granville in the building. Raise your hand. Leah, raise your hand. We already already had his talk. Okay. Look, he said, I saw you on the news, so I wanted to come out. Oh, no, look, that's why I was like, we got Vance Granville in the building, right? And he was like, who is that? Yes, okay, he's the county commissioner in Vance Granville. And see, that's the kind of thing that we wanted to make sure was that people were represented. So if there are any other elected officials in the building, can we get you guys to stand? It might be. If you want to pretend you're one. Okay. You probably don't really want that headache for another couple of years, so don't do it. But do it, for real. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start. We're going to let your table go first, then that table, and then we'll just zigzag around the room, get something, and then come on back in, and then we'll let you guys chit-chat amongst yourselves while the tables are getting their food. Sound good? So what we're going to do now is we're going to transition, and that transition is going to bring us over to our wonderful panelists. And what we're going to do is, it's not technically a panel. We wanted to do something a little bit different so that it wasn't what everybody does all the time. And for years I said, well look, I love the concept of TEDx, but sometimes it's a little bit too long. So I wanted to give people nice increments, little chunks, to be able to tell you what they're doing, who they are. If you look inside your pamphlet, each person is listed there, and their business, and then this way you can, do some follow-up with them if you choose to. Each person that's going to be up here has a QR code, so this way you can scan to whatever thing that they're passionate about at this point in time. And I'm looking for Carmen, but she's not in the room. Oh, there she is. Okay, because I was like, hold up, I missed her. And so Carmen, if I can get you to come up, let me tell you something awesome about Carmen. I met Carmen and her daughter before COVID, when I was doing classes and coming up to Raleigh. And they were awesome. They came to Greensboro. Carmen has kept up with me. And let me tell you how Carmen does. Carmen sent me a copy of her book, and she sent me some extra little presents. So, I love presents, right? Presents, food, accolades, we love all of those things. But she's just been one of the people that have kept up. And I think that sometimes, when she walked in this morning, she said, well, you're my mentor. And I'm like, well, you're a mentor of mine too, right? And I don't think mentorship has any particular age. I think you just have to be willing to listen to people and see what you get from them. So I want you to put your hands together for Carmen Cauthen. And
good afternoon, or I haven't looked at my time, I assume it's past noon. Thank you. I am so excited to be here. Chisa has inspired me, watching her do the things that she does and thinking, I don't know if I can do all that. I don't know if I want to do all that. And talking to a business coach now who tells me I'm building an empire. Well, at 65, you think it's time to retire, not time to build an empire. But one of the things that I have loved since being a child and growing up in a white neighborhood was family and history, and knowing how important it is that we take care of our history. My mother's side of the family was always talking about, this is what we've done, this is who we are, and this is who we expect you to be. And their expectations were never low, and honestly, you never met them. But it made us want to grow more and do more. And so when I went to work, I worked for the North Carolina General Assembly. I wrote the Journal for the House of Representatives for 20 years. And so I recognized also the importance of chronicling history. When I first went to work there were 3 African-American legislators. That was in 1981. By 1983, we had 11, and now there are a good number. And I've just recognized that we had 111 black legislators during the period of Reconstruction. And the whole while I worked at the legislature, I had no idea. So it's important that we know and we tell our history. I teach people to take their family history and their memories and create something that they can pass down as a legacy. We have a history of being oral storytellers. And the history of America, you have to think about, was written by people who could read and write, and people who were doing that for economic reasons. That pretty much was white men. So everybody else needs to be writing their stories down. And so I teach you how to do that. I take you through a process. You can do it on your own, just looking at some videos that I have, or you can do it with me, and I will give you prompts and help you to create that. But in the process of doing all of that, being an affordable housing advocate, I've written a book called Historic Black Neighborhoods in Raleigh that sold out from Amazon in 3 days. That I didn't expect. I sold 800 out of my house. I didn't expect that. I didn't even want to write the book. But I realized the importance of chronicling and telling the excitement and the importance of the people in your life. My mother was the perfectionist and drove me crazy, but I am who I am because of her and my father. And so I wanted to honor her. And so I am hosting a dinner now, April 25th, which would have been her 95th birthday, called Woman of Substance, Strong and Beautiful. And I realized how much black women have undergirded the community and supported and not gotten any recognition unless maybe somebody knew it when they were writing their obituary. Now, we got to tell the stories. This has grown from honoring my mother to honoring over 250 black women in Raleigh, just in Raleigh, since the 1860s. And I'm writing a book about these women. Those who are alive, I've asked them to send in a questionnaire with some information. Not that I'm not going to dig and find some more, but can you imagine the strength of a community that has been undergirded? And every one of us has this kind of community. So it's April 25th. If anyone is interested in attending, if you'll sign up at my table outside, I'll make sure you get information. If anybody's interested in sponsoring, if anyone is interested in putting an ad in our commemorative ad book, it can be business, it can be a personal tribute to someone, and we'll be happy to send you a copy of the book if you can't, of the tribute book, if you can't attend. I do want to say that one of our women of substance is actually in the audience today, and she's not looking at me and hoping I won't say anything about it. But it is Yvette Holmes, who is the executive director of Southeast Raleigh Commons. And I'm so proud of her and the work that she has done over the years. And so she is one of the young'uns. This is based on Oprah's Legends Ball. So we have young'uns and legends. And I decided she was a little bit younger than me, so she could be a young'un. Thank you all so much.
All right. Have you seen that QR code? It will take you right there, so this way you can get more of that information that Carmen was mentioning. And she also has some at the table, so feel free to save that date and make sure that you're in the place. Now, next up, we have Crystal McLean. Okay, you got her before she even So, I met Crystal because we were part of Black Wall Street Forward. I was in Durham. I was going to say council. Council. Well, council is always, because it feels like it should always be cohort to me. But the Durham Council, and Crystal was in the Fayetteville Council, and it was something about being chocolate and thick that we just, it was one accord that we just complimented each other that day. And I knew we were going to be friends after that. So, put your hands together for Crystal McLean.
I love you, Chisa. Come on, talk about the chocolate and tea. Y'all, I'm a little bit, I had to have notes because I will talk for days. And so I'm gonna jump straight to my notes if that's okay with y'all. But if anything I say resonates with you, y'all already know the mission. Let's hit them tamarines, okay? So I'm gonna jump in and we're gonna talk a little bit about the black dollar, okay? All right, so what if I told you that black Americans contribute over 1.6 trillion to the U.S. economy, yet only 2% of that money stays within our own businesses? Think about that. What if I told you that the black dollar circulates in our community for only 6 hours, while in other communities it lasts weeks or longer? The real question is, how do we change this? I'm Crystal McLean. I'm the founder and board chair of Money Box Academy Incorporated. We are a intergenerational financial literacy nonprofit, and our overall mission is to make sure communities are educated on the topic of healthy money habits, financial literacy. We teach as young as kindergarten. We go all the way up to our seniors and our elders that are on fixed incomes. We extend out to entrepreneurs, veterans, disabled, as well as justice-involved individuals that have been in the prison system for years, and they are about to re-enter into society, and they need these tools around managing their money. I want to talk about understanding the black dollar real quick. There's a quote that says, economic power is real power. When you have money, you can dictate the rules. Dr. Claude Anderson, and we know right now, there's a lot of rules being made that does not benefit us. Black spending power is enormous, but without ownership, wealth disappears. Did you know that if black consumers redirected just 10% of spending to black-owned businesses, it could create 1 million jobs? And that's by the Brookings Institute. The goal is not to just spend, but to control assets, create jobs, and reinvest wealth into our own communities. So my call of action to you, when you spend money, I want you to ask yourself. I want you to say, sell, say sell. Sell. Yourself say, who am I making wealthy?
That part.
What community am I investing in when I swipe this card?
That's right.
Or I process this invoice?
That's right.
The next thing I want to talk about is the difference between wealth and income. There's a quote that says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep,
That's
you
right.
will work until you
That
die.
part right there.
And that's Warren Buffett. Income keeps the lights on. Wealth builds legacy. 69% of black households lack investments in stocks, real estate, or business ownership, and that's based on the Federal Reserve. So a solution to that is shift from wage earning to asset ownership. Start small, even while you're working. Start small, buy stocks, invest in businesses, and I know DeMarcus Bowden, one of my partners that I love to refer people to with Edward Jones, literally talks about how to make sure we invest on our level, right? And being able to demystify the concepts when it comes to investing. So if you start with just $50 a month investing in stock fund, index fund, mutual funds, small habits create wealth. If you have existing investments, right now might be the time to beef them up. Okay, we see what's going on. It might be the time to beef them up a little bit. You cannot afford to have lazy money earning less than 1% in a savings account in this season.
Come on, tell it.
Some of us have employees, and we had an employee that was lazy, always on their phone, always taking smoke breaks, always sitting in their car. They on your clock. You paying them monthly, right? Weekly. And they are not doing the job. What would you do after some time? Fire. Fire, they got to go. Well, some of us, our money is doing the same thing. It's lazy, it's just sitting there, not earning anything. Okay?
Take us to church.
The cost of financial illiteracy and the need for business strategy. The black dollar, we talked about it, circulates for only 6 hours. But in the Asian community, it actually circulates for over 30 days. So black businesses fail 2 times more than white-owned businesses due to lack of funding. And that is by the SBA. That is a quote from the SBA. Banks reject black entrepreneurs at higher rates, making business loans harder to secure. We know that. We've seen that. We've experienced that. The key to business survival is funding, partnerships, and strategic investments. And having worked in the banking industry and community development lending space for years, I see the issues in the systemic barriers, and they still exist. One solution to that is move money to banks that actually reinvest in our businesses. Do you know anything about your bank? That's holding your money. That's investing your money. Do you know? If not, research today. You can also, if you're a business owner, you're looking for funding, you can search for CDFIs. These are community development financial institutions, and there is a whole group that are led by black leaders. Even powerful because they already understand the systemic oppressions when it comes to funding. You can also build capital. Crowdfunding, venture capital, and group economics are game changers. And don't just make money, create sustainable revenue streams. Last one, breaking the cycle, building generational wealth. There's a quote that says by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, It says your legacy should be more than just your name. It should be wealth, knowledge, and opportunity passed down for generations. And that's why what Chisa is doing is so powerful, because it puts us in spaces where we can pass down opportunities to generations. One last point is 70% of black families fail to pass down generational wealth compared to 30% of white families. And that's based on the Federal Reserve. Why is that? It's due to lack of access to financial literacy, estate planning, and investment knowledge. And so the solution to this, what is the solution, Crystal? What are you talking about? Teach wealth building as a family practice. Have those money talks at home. What is the point in leaving wealth to the next generation? You worked hard in your current generation, and you pass it down to a generation that don't know how to manage it.
That's right.
So then it's lost in that generation. So we have to be mindful to make sure as we're building, we're also educating. Last call to action. There's a quote that says, unity is wealth. It's an African proverb. I want to call you to act on, support black-owned businesses intentionally, not as a byproduct. Intentionally look out before you make those transactions to see how you can support a black-owned business. Invest in assets and not just liabilities. And then build a legacy that outlives you. I want to leave you with the final thought. The black dollar is powerful, but only if we use it wisely. This is our moment to shift from consumers to creators, from spenders to owners, from struggling to thriving. And if you are already like, girl, I'm already all of that, okay? I'm already the creator, the owner, and the thriver, okay? Then your mission, because you're not left out, your mission is to pull your brother and your sister up to the next level.
That's right.
The question isn't whether we can build wealth. The question is, will we take action? And that's all I gotta say to y'all.
Said you were gonna give y'all about 4 last things. Last thing. But it's one more last thing. It was the last call to action. I love it. Okay, so next up, we have Isaac Blount. Please come to the front side. One thing that I believe in is we spent a lot of time last year investing in going to things and being in the ecosystem. So we took that as our mantra for this year, to be in the ecosystem. And in order to do that, that meant that you had to actually get out of the house, get your cheeks out of the seat, go meet people. And one of the events that I went to, NCIDEA, when they do their annual conference, and I met Isaac, and I was just like, I like this guy. He was talking about progressive things and helping with business, so I'm going to turn the floor over to Isaac.
Wow.
So let me give him a round of applause, too.
I hope everyone is doing well. I remember when I was 10 years old, my mother worked at a gas station. I grew up in a rural area. And my uncle came up to the gas station when I was out there 10 years old. He said, got any money in your pocket? I said, no. He gave me $1. He said, next time I see you, whatever you got in your pocket, I'll double it. Right? So, just so happened, kind of dating myself, that summer I went in the cucumber field. You know anything about cucumbers? We got paid $1 a bushel. So what I would do was, I was 10 years old, I will take the big cucumbers, put them at the bottom, and the little cucumbers at the top.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
come on.
You know what I'm talking about, right? So what that allowed me to do, I was getting about 10 to 15 bushels a day. Now, the guy's name, he was over, his name was Sam. He got me one day. The first time he got me, he'll never get me again. You know, he gave me a nab and a soda. Yeah.
Come on.
Got a nab and a Pepsi. Yeah. Got a nab and a Pepsi. Got a nab and a Pepsi. We went to the store, and when it's time to go to the grader, he took $3 from me. $3. Back then, you know, he probably got that for $1.
Right. Quarter.
So, at the end of that summer, I had a stack of cash at 10 years old, and just so happened, my uncle comes up to the house. Man, I said, oh God. I said, hey, you remember what you told me? He said, I said, yeah. I said, you whatever money you got in my pocket, you double it. He said, yeah, I remember that. I said, fast it on. Oh, no, nephew. I'm just me. You always keep some money in your pocket.
That's how they do it.
But from that, I knew I had a gift. I had a gift of making money. You can drop me off in the middle of the desert. By the time I get to the pyramids, I'll be iced out. I have everything that I need. I knew that. Along my journey, it got perverted a little bit. You know, early on we make mistakes. We get back on track. Now I teach entrepreneurship. Teach entrepreneurship mindset. I teach people that, first of all, entrepreneurship is the lifeblood of America. Without innovators, this country wouldn't be what it is today. Right? Absolutely. The young lady said access to wealth or to funds or money. That's one of the biggest problems that we have. But in order to do that, we first have to have the right mindset.
Correct.
What in the world are you going to do with something if you don't know how to use it?
That's right.
How many of you here right now have a business idea? You've been thinking about a business. How many of you got businesses already? All right. That's awesome. How many of you guys got multiple businesses? Awesome. How many of you guys teaching the next person behind you how to run your business? You have to duplicate yourself. She said something so cute. I said, man, she's all in my sauce. Legacy. Duplication. We have to be able to duplicate ourselves so that the generation behind us can have something. But it starts right here. The way we think. This generation today is a little bit different from mine. I grew up in a cucumber field. I was too small for the tobacco field. But I cut grass. I raked yards. I knew how to make money. What are you teaching the young ones behind you?
That part.
Sometimes the only thing they see on how to do business is what they see at home. You go out here and you work this job that you don't like.
Come on.
Right? When you get working that job that you don't like, can you take 30 minutes to do something you do like? That you can make your own money? The one thing I ended up doing, I was working at a facility and I was making $15 an hour, working 10 hours a day, so I made $150 a day. I stepped out on faith. Oh my goodness.
That part right there.
And when I stepped out on faith, I would end up making $150 an hour.
You better say it.
Come on.
Working less and made more.
And enjoy myself doing it.
Hey,
There you go. Woo, that's a shower
but in order to do that, you gotta have something on the inside.
That
I stepped out on something. I believed in something. I believed in me. You have to have others that believe in you as well.
That's right. That's right.
We are not Allens. We cannot do it on our own. So that's why today is so important for us to make sure you meet someone. You talk to someone today that you don't know. Get their name. Get their information. Network with them. It's time for us to build like never before.
That's right.
My name is Isaac Blount. I'm a serial entrepreneur.
I know that's right.
And thank you for allowing me to be here.
All right. The kids
Y'all better go find a nap. Goodness. All right, so when I talk about some of my favorite people, she's one of them. I get to talk to this person way too much. And when I say way too much, let me just explain this. Do you ever call for one thing, and then it's 30 things later, and then you don't even know where the time went, and then you create a whole nother event and made a whole nother business in about 30 minutes? This is what happens when I talk to this person right here. So, LaShon Harley, I met her because she was the director at Durham Tech, and I started working with Durham Tech probably about, I don't even know, maybe 10 years ago? Almost 10 years ago. And even in her leaving, we put together some great summits. And to be honest with you, she's the person who started me doing the summits, because she was like, look, people keep asking you to come, asking you to come. And she's like, I don't just want to do one day, let's do a whole summit, let's do a day. And I'm like, sure, yeah, more money in one day? That sounds great. You know, just like what Isaac was talking about. And so that kind of started doing summits all over the state. And so she is still encouraging and enlightening, enhancing, and enriching my life and giving it to the people. So put your hands together for LaShon Harley.
I didn't write my notes. I can go a long time, but she knows to tell me.
Yeah, she got 5 minutes. I'm telling you, it'll be 30 minutes. Y'all be like, I learned so much.
So Isaac took part of mine when he said, so I guess we just feeding off of each other, because when he said, you're not an island unto yourself, I'm going to speak based upon what the topic of today is, and it'll show you what I do and how I am. So breaking down silos.
Yes.
It should be. Okay, there you go. Not that. All right. So breaking down silos. You're not an island unto yourself. The problem with a lot of entrepreneurs when they're going to do their businesses, they're like, I got the vision. True. But you need help with the vision. You know, I'm one of the ones that also follows what's in the Bible. Everybody in the Bible who had a vision had folks who would help them with the vision, including Jesus. Because he had the 12 disciples. So let's just start there. You can't do everything by yourself, because everybody brings their own level of expertise to the table. And the thing is, you could do it, but you spend a whole lot of more of your resources doing it rather than going to the people who can do it themselves. Break down the silos.
That's right.
As Isaac said, it's not about people understanding your vision, it's about people understanding you and who you are.
That's right.
Because the people who can help you get your vision done are those that say, first of all, I believe in what you're doing. I mean, that's what venture capitalists do. I believe in your idea. They don't necessarily understand the fullness of how you're going to do your idea, but they buy into your idea. Break down the silo. Yes, you're the only one who can see your vision. And let me put a pause here. No one will see your vision like you see your vision. That's because it's your vision. It was given to you. And I like those little characters that say it wasn't a conference call. It wasn't. It was given directly to you, because if it was something that somebody else could be doing, they would be doing it. So it's about the fact that break down the silos of yourself and say, I'm the only one that can do it. And do it, and I'm a perfectionist that way too. I can do it, I can do it faster. But it takes away me from doing other things.
That's right.
Break down that silo of perfectionism. And when I used to teach, the biggest group I taught it to were those who are recovering from substance abuse. And I said, pay attention to what you're being paid. We do it when we're an employee, but we forget about it when we're an entrepreneur. We want to give everybody our A game, but they paying us C and D price.
That part.
So the thing about it is, don't give your A game. Now don't get me wrong. People that I was always told to do my best. I got you. I got you. Because even at the job, because like I told folks, if a boss gives you stuff, and you get it done, and they keep giving you more stuff. And you get it done, and they keep giving you more stuff. Because I teach management and HR stuff. The boss goes back, well, wait a minute, what were they doing before? Because if they can do all of this, and still in the same amount of time, well, let me flip the script on you. If I'm buying from you, and you can do all this, and I keep paying you that little bit of money, do you think I want to pay you more?
No.
You You gotta understand, break down that silo, and I know we've been taught do your best. Yes, do your best for what you're being compensated for.
I know that's right.
Okay, that's the return on investment.
That's it. That's good.
It's the return on the investment. What are you investing into it and what are you getting back out? Well, I get fulfillment and it makes me feel good. Wonderful, soon you'll be a hobby. A hobby means you spend more than what you get back. Because it's for the enjoyment of it. It's about the fact that you're doing a business. Now, am I saying you don't give some things? Yes. But you got to understand, folks who don't appreciate, they will keep taking. And then you go like, well, I'm not making a lot of money, so I have to go up on price. And they go like, well, wait a minute now, you were $100, now you at $2 and $3. And then they leave you because you lied to them. You know how you lied? Because you told them I could do it for $100. Now you come later saying it takes $200 to $300. They were like, but that's not what you said before. First impression of the lasting comment. The first impression you gave them was that you were worth $100 for what you gave them. Now you try to tell them, no, you're worth more, but you already gave them that first impression. You were only worth the $100. And then you got to understand, it's my choice and my option as the buyer. If I think you now are worth the $200 or $300, but you already introduced me as the $100. I like how one person said, are you going to be the Walmart-preneur or the Saks Fifth Avenue-preneur? A lot of us do the Walmart-preneur. I want the volume. Well, let me, in case you don't know, Walmart does not negotiate price. Walmart says, we'll take this pallet for this amount, take it or leave it. That's how you negotiate with Walmart. So if you're going to be a Walmart-preneur, understand, that's how it's going to go. Break down that silo. Get those folks in, because you don't know what you don't know until after the fact. Now, instead of doing damage prevention, you're doing damage control. And let me tell you, damage control costs a whole lot more. And I'm going to pick on her because I'm looking around. Because Tonya can tell you. Folks who go and do that QuickBooks and set their own QuickBooks up. It takes her 3 to 5 hours to undo what you did. So you thought you were saving, not getting her QuickBooks fix up at $500. And to do the damage control, is go. First of all, she's got to assess it. Then she has to put it in place. Then if you did something wrong, she's got to fix it. And then please don't let it be you did something wrong and it affected your taxes. So not only now did you not pay her the $500 to set it up right, now you got to pay Uncle Sam, and you can pay Uncle Sam $1,000, but penalty and interest will take it higher, and they don't take off the penalty and interest if they can help it. But you didn't want to do the $500. Break out the silo of saying, I'm going to do it myself to save for myself, because the question is, did you really save for yourself? And then refill your cup. When I talked about the vision, your cup is your cup.
That part.
But understand this, when we refill your cup, that doesn't mean the cup is going to fill up with the exact same thing. To do the same thing the same way and expect different results, that's insanity. Well, to fill yourself up and getting around the same people all the time, getting this information from the same place all the time, not going out to find out anything new, you're insane too. Crazy. The thing about it is that's why it's breaking down silos. Because the one thing we can tell you is that change is always going to happen. Nothing stays the same. And if you don't believe me, think about what you thought about yesterday. Now coming here today, you just heard some folks. Now how have you changed some of you with the ideas of what you're going to do? You've already changed. Some of you have already changed in this one meeting. As each person's been talking, you've thought about something new and something different. You changed. See, we have to understand this. It's about what I call the IQ. We talk about IQ. This is my version of IQ. We get information and knowledge, but we don't get understanding to give us wisdom.
Yes.
Without understanding, you do not have wisdom.
That's right.
And wisdom means I know what to do, when to do, and how to do it. For who to do it. And I said that to say, please do not apologize for who your customers are. Because you're in business to be in business, and you can't give a legacy if you don't leave anything. And like I tell my class, because I do adjunct, I've been taught in business administration. You're wealthy if you got a penny left over after you pay everything else. That still called shareholder wealth, owner's wealth, equity. But can you live off a penny? Can you live off $1,000? Can you live off of $2,000? See, it's all about looking at that body, breaking down that silo that I want to be profitable. No, I want to be profitable to maintain the lifestyle that I want to live, to leave the legacy that I want to leave, so that I can make movement the way I want to make movement for the people who I want to make it, so I can fulfill my destiny. Okay. That is what you talk about when you're talking about the bottom line in wealth. So what do? I am what they call the igniter. I ignite people. I'm the one that can fire you up, spark you up. You can come to me, friends, which a lot of my friends don't like. You come to me and just say, I just want to be an entrepreneur. I have no clue, no idea what you want to do. Or come to me with 100 ideas and I can synergize them and put them all together and give you where you're to go. Because what I do is I listen. I don't hear you, I listen to you to find out what's your vision and your purpose and put them together so you can have an action plan to navigate so you can fulfill what I call the five fulfillments. You fulfill the business, you fulfill the customer, you fulfill yourself, and then of course you fulfill the government, which allows you to fulfill the community. And when you put that all together, that's a fist. And what does a fist do? That means power, and that's where the power comes from. You can have money and everything else, but if you don't have those 5 pieces together, you won't have the fist of power. So break down your silos, refill your cup, and make sure when you refill your cup, last thing, make sure when you refill your cup can handle what is being refilled in. If you were supposed to be for cold beverages, don't go over here trying to fill yourself up with hot beverages. If you are a cup for hot beverages, don't now try to fill yourself up with cold beverages. Understand what your cup is, because that's where your power is, and that's where you can go for it.
I love it. Okay, so we're going to divert a little bit slightly because we have to change presentation. So Kenyetta, if I can get you to come to the front, that would be marvelous. Just raise your hand if you like to cuss a little bit. And I don't know, okay, all right. And everybody else that didn't raise their hand, y'all the ones doing it in the car. Right. You don't want nobody to know, because I know the world makes you want to cuss a little bit. So she comes and she's like, can I sit right here? And I'm like, yeah, sure, the seat's open. And she kept looking at me, and being from New York, you keep looking at me in my face, what do you want, ma'am? But because it was a business thing, I was like, hi. Why is this girl keep looking at me? And she was like, do you have a podcast? And I said, yes. And she was like, the Real Ass Affirmations. And I said, yes. So if y'all want to look up Real Ass Affirmations, it's on all streaming platforms.
Not public service enough.
Plus 1,000 downloads, and we'll be reigniting it next month because people keep telling me that they need it. So I knew she was my type of person because she was already listening to Real Ass Affirmations. Okay? And so today, she's getting her 5 minutes of glory because she is marvelous. And I do want to say, even at our Black Biz Summit, she was doing a talk on AI. And she's up at the front of the room. And some guy comes in and he's not even thinking that she's the instructor. And she's the instructor, and he said, well, I expected a white man to be up in the front of the room.
And I was like, exactly.
Okay. So that's how we lead into. Give her a round of applause.
That was such a great introduction. Thank you, everybody. I can't wait to talk to you all about leading in the digital age. I think it's important that we note that we are in some really special times right now, right? And so there's a specific thing that we need to be thinking about when we lead. So, as I go through my presentation, because she's right, I had to be different. That's me. We can skip that one. Thank you. All right, so here's the thing I want you guys to do. When I say think big, I need for you guys to say build smart. Think big.
Build smart.
Think big.
Build smart.
Okay, so if I say it randomly, what y'all gonna say?
Build smart.
Okay, good. That was a test. Some of y'all passed. The back, a little shaky. Anybody ever heard of the 0 to 1 concept? All right. Anybody build software? Building apps. Okay, so I work in product management. I'm on the business side of building software. Okay, I have my own business, but now I use that as a way to facilitate to help others learn how to build strategy, right? But the concept of 0 to 1 is all about taking your idea to the first shippable version, okay? 0 to 1. The next thing when you build that 0 to 1, that 1 is considered the MVP, minimum viable product. It's the least amount of features you build to reach the goal of the target audience. All right? So keep this in mind, 0 to 1 concept, okay? All right, so you have typical steps of building an MVP. So the first step is identifying the problem and conducting market research, okay? Second step, create the vision and roadmap. Third, identify core features and build. And then the final is launch. Y'all can take notes. People pay for this.
Yes, yes.
Now, huh?
You gonna send us the slides? Go pray on the
All right, the Lord might lead me. Y'all need to speak to him. I see the Lord here is gathered. So, I know you guys are probably thinking, so how does this help with leading and being effective, right? Because that's building software. What the hell does that got to do with leading and being effective, right? I'm about to connect the dots for you. All right, when you think about leading in this particular age, there still are steps, okay? And really, when you think about it, steps actually don't change. So I'm gonna connect the dots for you. When you're first really leading in a digital age, you need to understand and research and analyze the environment that you're in, okay? Second step is we must set the vision and roadmap. Third, you must identify the skills, tech tools, and effort needed to actually deliver on the vision. People oftentimes skip the step of effort, right? So what people do is they have big vision and have a low effort, and then wonder why they don't reach the vision, okay? So when you're building anything, whether that's software, a service, business, being a leader, you must assess effort, okay? Next is launch. All right, so let's identify first up environment. We are in what's called a VOCA environment. Anybody ever heard of this? It's a leadership term that they use in the military. In a VOCA environment, it's typically described unpredictable conditions of modern warfare, right? That's not to say that we're in warfare, but we are in a volatile, uncertain, complex environment that has tons of ambiguity.
Yes.
Okay? Now, understanding that environment is where the research comes in, right? Is we need to understand who we're targeting and why. We need to understand what type of things that we need. We need to identify the steps along that pathway, okay? But we can't do any of those things or build a strategy if we don't understand the current environment as to which we operate, right? People skip. Everybody wants to build first, you know? So when people build typical technology, they're like, oh my God, I gotta go get a developer. Developer is there to build. Developer is there not to build a strategy. Understanding how that affects the experience. Understanding who to target, why to target. Who's also playing in that area. And if there is a space that's a blue ocean space where there's nobody playing, why is that? Because larger companies who have more resources than you probably have already seen it. Because there's a lot of parallel thinking going on in the world, right? It's really about execution. Okay?
Better get it clear.
Next we have what's called understanding vision and roadmap. So now that we understand the environment, everybody understand the environment? Right? Because what we have to do is think big and do what?
Be smart. Real smart.
Okay, because y'all have to do what? Think big?
Real smart.
That's right. Okay, so now that we understand the VOCA environment, because now we understand where we're playing, how we're playing, who we're targeting when we're playing. We now must understand how to counteract that. And it's called the VOCA Prime environment. It's a leadership model that helps leaders navigate complex and uncertain environments. So in order to combat volatility, you must have big vision. Believe it or not, most organizations, most entrepreneurs have small visions. They're actually not big enough. Right? And then they wonder why they're not successful. Okay? Number two, in order to combat uncertainty, you need to have understanding. Now, why is understanding important? We already don't understand the environment because it's volatile, which means we need to have space to have imagination, experimentation. Okay? So you have to be understanding that you don't understand everything and be willing to try some things.
That's right.
Right? A lot of times, specifically being Black folks, we act like we can't try because we're scared, because we're too focused on being right instead of understanding how to make the best decision with the information that you have at the time. Not the right decision, the best decision. That's good. Right? With the information. Because as a leader, as an entrepreneur, it is your goal to make decisions. You are not here to just skip a decision. You're not here to just dwell on a strategy, because that's what happens a lot of times. People just sit on a strategy because they think it's something that you're just supposed to do with another check box. Strategy is here for you to execute.
Come on.
Okay? Next, how do we combat complexity? We get clarity in the spaces that we can get clarity in, right? So we focus on one, if we understand the space, we focus on the small wins, something that we already are clear about and can and we can execute on it right then and there. That gives us time and leeway to be able to think about the other complex things that's in the environment, right? That needs more time and energy to think through because there's a lot more uncertainty. But the stuff that you can get right and the stuff that you can do, you do. Okay? Third thing, and to combat ambiguity, you need to be agile. Now, one of the concepts we use in software is being agile, agility, right? So understanding how to take information and be able to change when needed, right? You can't be married to anything.
That's right.
Right?
Y'all did that.
You can't be married to that. I mean, okay. You can't be married to that.
That's like
Right, but you can't be married to that. You have to be close enough to something to say yes and far enough away to say no. Business is not personal.
That's right. Come on.
Y'all didn't know y'all gonna get education. Third thing, identify skills, tech, and effort. All right, we have access points here. 2 minutes, you said 2 minutes? All right. I got 2 more slides. All right, so we have access points. We are in an age where we have access to education, we have access to technology, and we actually have access to space to trust ourselves to take action. Right? Everybody, our generation, I'm a millennial. I know I'm 41, I don't look like it. But they didn't always have the access to take action. They had to survive. So now that means we have opportunity. And it's our turn to take advantage of that opportunity and trust ourselves, bet on ourselves, educate ourselves, understand the types of technological tools that allow us to be more efficient, more effective, understanding the skills that we have that we're strong in and the gaps in those skills so we can fill them. All right? And we need to make sure that they're targeted in alignment and with intention that is going towards what? The vision. People love to get educated. People don't get educated on the vision because they actually sometimes don't even have it.
Come on.
All right, last but not least is launch. The MVP, minimum viable product. Think big and do what? Think smart. Y'all feel that one out. Okay? Now, when you're thinking big, it's understanding the ultimate outcome of going from 0 to 10. 10 being the big vision. But building smart is knowing what to launch today.
Yes.
Okay, and that's going 0 to 1. Iterating, learn, rinse, and repeat.
Yes.
We are in a different time now. And what you need to understand is that you have to reframe the way that you think about challenges and the narrative that you're telling yourself. Okay? Change and reframe the way that you're looking at challenges and narrative that you're telling yourself. It is time for transformation.
Yes.
It's time for you to do without delay.
Yes.
And you need to understand that where there's chaos, there's always opportunity.
Girl,
Thank you. I hope I help people keep the light at the end of that tunnel. And I gave you some steps to get there. My name is Kenyetta Hall, I'm the Catalyst HQ, and I turn big ideas into tangible outcomes and helping you use technology to make it happen so that you can drive growth, innovate, and lead in the digital age. Thank you.
Okay, and last but not least, we had to reserve the last slide. Come on up here, just start shimmy shaking way up here. We had to hold this person for last because they represent 1 million different organizations.
Pretty much.
So, listen, when I say you need either know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
And know somebody.
When I say, hold up, see, I was going that way, but
I know which way you was going. I was trying to
go this way. When I say,
Okay, Sue.
I call it ensemble though. So y'all can take that ensemble when you put it together. When you say, and this has been not necessarily a difficult thing, but in transitioning to the triangle from the triad, I keep telling people, I said it was so different because 18 years of being in Greensboro, and it's like everybody knows you. And then you come up here, and then it's like some people know you, right? And so my job was to make sure that give it to the people over these last, it'll be 4 years coming up next month. Technically 5, because we kind of started as a sole proprietor and then we incorporated, but I'm just more from the incorporated portion. And so in that time frame, one thing is, it's not necessarily about who you know, but it's who knows you.
That's right.
And it's also about who says your name in rooms when you're not there.
That's right.
And I hear my name all the time. You know how your hands stay itching? I know somebody is saying good stuff about me all the time, right? Because I wash my hands, so it's not like the dirty that little germaphobe, to be honest with you. But and then when the things go, so we have this thing, we can't say all of the words that go along with it, but you know what it is. And the thing is, if you got it, I got it. Right? And so this is one of those people that if you got it, I got it. Yeah. And then she'll say your names in rooms, and she's going to be in all the rooms. Okay? All of them. She's trying to take my speech to it. And all of that. I'm just telling you, that's what it's going to be. So I took a picture up front earlier, because I was like, hold up, are you standing here talking to Miss Bonita in the back, and you have a whole live stream with like 20 people on behind you on the computer? And she was like, yeah, I got my earpiece in, I can hear you. And I was like, I need to take a picture because people won't believe this moment. And she was like, this is what happens in those entrepreneurial streets. This is La-Tasha Best-Gaddy. She's in these entrepreneurial streets, and she's going to give you all the goods today. Put it up for La-Tasha Best-Gaddy.
Oh my goodness. All right. Thank you. And thanks, Chisa, for that introduction. First of all, let me just say, can we just give it a round of applause for everybody that's on this panel? All right, so because I'm the wrap up, and I'm gonna just say, none of these other speakers, we didn't know all of what they were gonna say, but it tied in to everything. So today, I'm gonna talk about being in the ecosystem and how to build your business bridge, okay? So when you're thinking about that, so I want you to think about this. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So who are you doing business with? We already heard where is your money going. We also heard about technology. We heard about leadership. But here's the thing. How can we be in the ecosystem? How can we take a leadership role and be the connector? So when you're thinking about it and thinking about the work that you're doing, how can you make sure that you're uplifting someone so that we are not the crabs in the barrel? That's right. Y'all remember that? Right? Because nobody gets to the top. So we want to create an environment and a leadership where everybody wins, where there's a piece of the pie for everyone. This pie is not something that's limited, it's infinity, right? So when you think about that, I want you to think about whatever the work you're doing, the people you connected to, and who else can you help? So some of you may think about not only helping in your own family, as she said, talk to your family, your children about money. So I have 2, they're now 18 and 22, just pray for my 22-year-old. But being able to talk to them about whatever it is, how to manage your money, whatever your business goals are. But then the other thing is how to network and be in the room. So I get it a lot from friends, and I'll just look around the room because a lot of y'all I know, that I'm everywhere. But I'm not everywhere. I'm intentional and strategic
about the rooms that I'm in, so it looks like on the outside I'm everywhere. The second thing, and someone said it earlier, is how do you know when you get in the room to making sure you have a seat at the table? So first of all, you gotta know pre-hand. So I do research. Who's planning to be in the room? Now I know that I can't follow up with everybody. So I always try to figure out at least one person I don't know that I may need to try to foster a relationship with. And when we say get to know people, because again, people do business with people they know, like, and trust, you don't have to be, you still can be your authentic self. Now, I'm not saying you have to tell all your business, because nobody wants to hear that anyway. Right. However, it is enough to just to get to know the person so that they know that you are authentic and transparent, and it is not just about the deal. When you care about someone and you're intentional, then they're going to remember you when you're not in the room. Mm-hmm. They're going to remember you when there are opportunities to come up. They're going to remember you for job opportunities, if that's what you're looking for, business opportunities. And then here's the important piece that I want to just bring in today, is you also need leadership opportunities. So that means serving on boards, committees, and being active in the community, and whatever that is for you. So, as Chisa mentioned, I'm on a lot of different ones. So I'll mention one now and ask them to either just stand or raise their hand. So I started and I was on the Chapel Hill Chamber Board, and then as a result of that, then thanks to Dolores with Empowerment, we then began to start the Black Business Alliance, and then they said, oh yeah, well, because you're involved, we want you to be the chair. So for the Black Business Alliance, who's one of the sponsors, and all y'all wave hand who got tickets should be part of the Black Business Alliance, but the goal was not just to be a part of an organization, but what is the impact that the organization makes? What is the mission? So while I'm going to encourage you to be active on boards, committees, alliances, whatever that is, I'm going to make sure, and I want you to be intentional and strategic about making sure that it is something that you can then say, I believe in the mission, I believe in the vision, and guess what? I'm going to also commit even time, talents, or treasures. And so when you're doing that, then guess what? Now you're being in the ecosystem. Now you're building your personal leadership bridge to whatever your goal is. So the other thing that I want to say is, when you're thinking about how to navigate the ecosystem for whatever that is for you, then you want to also make sure, and I like to call it have a wing woman, but some of you may have a wing person. Now, this is a person that may sometimes be at places, may sometimes don't, and sometimes the wing person or the wing woman, wing man, whichever you prefer, and whoever you're bringing with you, they may already plan to attend, they may not plan to attend, you may drag them to attend, or you may tell them they need to be there. But the goal of it is making sure that, again, we all are thriving, we all are prospering, we all are learning, we all are getting access. Now, I have a second reason why I like to have a second person in the room. I told you I can only probably find one person. So that means that other person got to find somebody different so that they can then meet somebody, and then what happens afterwards, whether you're riding together or whether you talk later, then you got to say, well, who did you meet? What is theirs? Okay, well, introduce me to that person since you met them. And then I say, this is who I met. This is what they're doing. Let me introduce you to that person. Now, a soft introduction is better than a cold introduction.
That's right.
Right?
That's
so
right.
now when we talk about how to do leads or lead generation, they always say you have these cold leads, right? And that's when you're just kind of calling somebody on the phone, they've never met you. But now, if you have a warm lead, that's where somebody says, you know what? I know this person. I know they can do X, Y, Z of what you're looking for. Can I connect you? So when you're doing that, then you want to make sure that you are leading with intentionality. You are then sharing what others are doing. And here's another piece of things. So think about it as we all have our unique ways to do what we do. There may be some similarities, but all of us still have our unique talents, gifts, and treasures. So why not celebrate someone else's talents, skills, and treasures by an introduction? Now here's my final thought, and this is, don't suffer in silence. So my don't suffer in silence goes a couple of ways. So I'm gonna agree with don't suffer in financial silence. Don't suffer in business silence. Don't suffer in leadership silence. What I mean by that is, I understand, and I grew up in a day and age where my mom, my grandparents said, what happens at the house stays at the house. Don't go out and tell your business to anybody. Now, I already said be your authentic self, and you don't have to tell everything, so I'm not gonna butt against that. But what I am gonna say is, you don't know who can help you get to where you need to be. And then here's the favorite thing, a closed mouth don't get fed. Okay? So if you just don't even say, hey, I'm looking for somebody that can help me do X, Y, Z, then you may never find that person. And again, you don't have to tell them why you're looking for that. You don't have to tell them the background. You don't have to give no long story. All you got to say is, I'm looking for this. Can you help me either connect to the person? Can you even do a warm lead or introduction? Or do you know somebody who knows somebody that can then open a door? Now, I want to lead you with this, and this goes back to bringing it all together, and why I've really kind of got the idea of not only a closed mouth don't get fed, but how I really got into this. So I told you I have 2 kids. My youngest is 18, she's a girl. When she was born, her name is Kimberly. She had a medical condition. She almost died. I was working at a nonprofit at the time, and I was married at the time, and I remember going into work, and I was just like, man, I'm gonna probably have to, I don't know what we're gonna do, because we couldn't get her medicine, it's so rare, it's all these different kind of things. And at the time I was working for an organization called the National Institute now, and the director, Andrea Harris, and she looked at my face, and if you ever met Andrea, she knows before she knows, right? She just knows you. She said, what's going on? And I told her about my baby, and I told her, all what the doctors, what everybody else was saying. And she said, don't worry, let me make a call. Now, I didn't know the department head at Health and Human Resources. I didn't know David Price. I didn't know Tracy Lovett at the time. I didn't know anybody along this food chain. She got a call, she said, send me the information, just tell me, I don't know how to spell it, I don't know what to say, tell me what the doctors are saying, give it to me. She sent it to Tracy Lovett, who was the liaison for Congressman David Price. David Price then did an inquiry and sent it to the head of North Carolina's Health and Human Resources that I never even met a day in my life. They then called Duke University to say, why this child who's living here can't get this medicine and da-da-da-da-da. Before I knew it, the person who was denying the medicine then called and said, ma'am, please come and pick up your medicine. Nobody else to call me about this child. Now, I say that not to tell the story of my family, but to say, what about if when she asked me, I would have kept my mouth closed?
Yeah.
What about if I would have thought that I could handle it by myself, which I would have did none of those things, I would have never connected to none of those people. I would have never thought that that was even an avenue that I should go. Because I was getting ready to probably do a crowdfunding campaign, to be honest. Call family and friends, y'all gotta raise $100,000 and y'all gotta raise it every month, because that's the cost of the medicine. Okay, now, I say that to then end with this positive note. So I mentioned that she is now well, she is still on that same medication. We never had any of those issues, but then I learned to be an advocate. I learned to be an advocate for myself. I learned to be an advocate for my family. I learned to be an advocate for all these businesses, leaders, and everybody in the room. That's how we build leadership ecosystem. So again, it's not about being vulnerable or telling the story of something personal, but it is about how that can then get you to what you need to do. All right, so I hope today that all of you will be in the ecosystem, okay? And that today you learn something from this Black Leaders event that you will then implement within your daily lives, within your community, and with each other. Have a great day, everybody. So, I want to say to you guys, I want to recognize a couple of people that are in the room specifically. First of all, our sponsors for today. So, Madeline, if you want to stand up, does anybody want to say anything, or you just want to stand up?
I'll just stand up.
Okay, so stand up and wave. Do the Barbie wave. So Black Wall Street Forward has definitely been something that's been instrumental in working with us specifically since coming to the Triangle, and we have a wonderful relationship. And just as a special announcement, August 1st is the Black Biz Summit, and Black Wall Street Forward is sponsoring again. So yes, all right. In addition to that, City of Raleigh, I want you guys to just make some noise for your 2 tables. City of Raleigh. Let me tell you something. City of Raleigh showed out. They said, you know what, we're going to get 2 tables. Okay? And I want to thank Mel for making sure that happened, because she was like, some great things happened over there. So that's Mel of the Right Village. And Heather, I want to make sure I shout you out as well, because Heather was like, you remember me? And I was like, yes, Heather, I remember you. But let me tell you why, because Heather was like, we have grants and sponsorships. I always remember people with grants and sponsorships.
I know that's right.
Heather, I remember you. In addition to that, Infinity Bridges, La-Tasha Best-Gaddy. And so for our membership, she is a fiscal sponsor for the year. So if you see her little face all over the site, that's why. In addition to that, the Danielle Company, can we give them a round of applause back there? So the Danielle Company, I met the daughter, all right, at the MWBE conference last year, because we have been in the ecosystem. And actually, she was just so wonderful. And then it just turned out from that conversation that she was the first person to be a sponsor. And in addition to that, does everybody know about the Small Business Expansion Summit that's happening at North Carolina Central University, happening on the 22nd of March, which is a Saturday? She will be our keynote speaker. Where did she go? Oh man, I was trying to introduce her, because I was like, did she, I thought maybe she shrunk a little bit or something, because I'm looking where she should be. Okay, but Gloria, that's her mom, so she wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Gloria. So Miss Gloria, we give you that round of applause. But she's going to be our keynote speaker, and you can talk with her a little bit later today. And then also recognizing the Black Business Alliance, can we get your table to make some noise? So Chapel Hill Carborough is one of our sponsors for today as well. Right now, Mr. Brown is either passing out or has already passed out surveys. Please fill those out as completely as possible. And 2 more people that I want to recognize today. Salima Thomas, can y'all give her a round of applause? So Salima is the Deputy Chief of Staff for the U.S. House of Representatives for Congresswoman Valerie Fouché. And we always appreciate making sure that we have that support from Congress, from the House of Representatives, from all of our leaders that are inside of the state, whether it's city or state, or if it's the county. And so we always appreciate that. And then finally, we want to represent Miss Bonita in the back. Can you put your hand up? She is here reporting from the Triangle Tribune. So she'll be wrapping up and writing about this wonderful event, and then we'll be doing some more stuff with the Triangle Tribune as the year goes by. Now, did you have a good time today?
Yes.
Okay.